This book challenges 4 widespread beliefs about Chinese agricultural engagement in Africa that have shaped the conventional wisdom, circulating through influential policy circles and popular culture, where they have been readily absorbed by pundits, researchers, intellectuals, and even writers of fiction. It draws on my own field research, and that of others who have explored what the Chinese are actually doing in the rice paddies, maize fields, and sugar plantations of rural Africa. In doing so, it seeks to fill the gap between the conventional wisdom and a paucity of evidence on a topic that has clearly fascinated many who are concerned with food security and development in the world's poorest region. The first belief, echoed in the chief economist's statement, is that the Chinese have actually acquired very large areas of farmland in Africa. Many media stories have featured Chinese companies, or more commonly, simply China or the Chinese, as central players in African land acquisitions. China now has extensive holdings in Africa, including pending or attempted deals for millions of hectares in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, and Tanzania, with many thousands of Chinese workers brought in to work on these lands, a reporter wrote for Interpress Service. We read on an Israeli news website, Chinese farms control most of Zambia's agriculture. CBS News published an article stating that China recently purchased half the farmland under cultivation in the Congo. Second, it is widely believed that the Chinese government is leading the effort to acquire land in Africa as part of a grand plan, using its state-owned enterprises and sovereign wealth funds. The strategy has been carefully devised by officials in Beijing, a British journalist wrote in the Daily Mail. An article in a prominent American magazine, The Atlantic, claimed that the Chinese government had set up a $5 billion fund just to invest in agriculture in Africa. Echoing this, a researcher at a major Washington, D.C.-based think tank wrote, China has invested immense sums in African agriculture. Third, across Europe and the United States, the conventional wisdom holds that the Chinese have developed a voracious appetite for African grain. The Rockefeller Foundation warned that the growing Chinese desire for African-produced food could mean that poor people in African countries may no longer have the resources they need to survive. In a French newspaper, we read, what they, the Chinese, do is invest in Africa to feed the Chinese people. In Benin, the head of a civil society organization told a television crew that the Chinese were growing vegetables in his country and sending them back to China. Finally, many believe that the Chinese government has sent, or plans to send, large numbers of Chinese peasants to settle in Africa.